Good afternoon. My name is Jackie Brock Brausch, and I'm here today on behalf of the Kramer family and celebrating Ted. Yes, you heard me correctly. We're here to celebrate Ted's life. That may feel like an impossible feat right now. How could we possibly want to celebrate anything when there is such a huge hole that's been left in our hearts in the wake of Ted's absence? We all mourn the fact that he's gone. But Ted talked to Tara about this day. If she was ever left with the impossible task of facing life without Ted, he told her that he didn't want everybody to sit around and be sad. He wanted her to celebrate and remember the good times. His joy for life and the joy that he brought to probably more people than he could have ever possibly imagined is evident in the outpouring of love in this past week and in this room right now. That's what brings us all together today. We're here to support and uplift Tara, Jacob, Ryan, Alvin and Betty Ann, Gary, Karen, Tyler, and the rest of their extended family. I am honored to be the family's voice today and to share Ted's story. Earlier this week, I had the privilege to sit with Tara and Betty Ann and Alvin and Gary and Karen. My hope in this time is to honor Ted's life with my words and share some stories about the amazing person he was, the extraordinary life he lived, and the incredible impact he had on each and every one of you. Ted Kramer was born to Alvin and Betty Ann Kramer on February 16, 1975. He was the child that made Al and Betty Ann parents, and Irma Snyder a Graham. It was something that Irma has forever been proud of, and one of the biggest reasons he and Irma were so tight-knit and shared such a close and special bond. Every child holds a special place in a grandmother's heart. But the first one to give her the title is an irreplaceable and exhilarating feeling, and no one felt that as much as Irma did. Alvin and Betty Ann established their home where Ted was born and raised in Ocean City, Long Island. It was there that Ted fell in love with water, and the beach would forever be one of his happy places. Whether it was surfing in Long Island, going to Nantucket, where he would later make wonderful memories with Tara's side of the family, Mexico to visit with Betty Ann and Al, on a lake somewhere, Jamaica, or in Hawaii, where Tara and Ted wed and honeymooned, Ted's love for the water was always a deep part of what made him who he was. You can only imagine how frustrating it was for Ted that no matter how deep his passion, it didn't stop his body from disagreeing with his heart and becoming seasick whenever he tried to get on a boat. That was always something that bothered him, because he saw it as time lost with Alvin and Gary when they would go fishing. Ted attended Oceanside High School, where during his senior year, he led his soccer team to a victorious championship as team captain. Soccer captain was not the only big impact Ted made in high school. Throughout his life, he was always a proud and supportive big brother. Ted was a popular senior athlete, while his brother Gary was more reserved, long-haired, artistic freshman. They couldn't have been more different, but that never stopped Ted from being an encouraging older brother who always believed in Gary. He always looked out for him and would tell Betty Ann and Alvin that they didn't have to worry about Gary. Although Gary's path was different than his own, Gary was going to be okay. Ted went on to attend SUNY Oswego to study communications. It was also a place where he continued his passion for soccer and made lifelong friends, many of which traveled a great distance to be here today. Although I've been told, don't believe all the stories they tell you. Some of them even had the privilege to golf with Ted just last Friday. Memories I'm sure they are all grateful for and will forever cherish. After graduating with his bachelor's degree, he went on to work for Fox Television Sales in the advertising department, and it was there that he met Tara Magazzini right after 9/11, and they started dating in November of 2001. From the beginning, they just knew. If you were to look up the words opposite attract, you would probably find Tara and Ted's names right behind it. Tara was a rule follower. She dotted every I and crossed every T. She followed instructions to the letter of the law. She was a very serious person who was also very guarded and never let people in easily. And then came Ted. Ted never saw a rule that he didn't want to break. An easygoing guy who was fun, energetic, and full of life, and who was also full of mischief. He was one of the first who got her to let her walls down. She believed in him, and he believed in her. They were the perfect match. Tara never liked being the center of attention. So after dating for 3 years, Ted and Tara exchanged vows in an intimate setting in August of 2004, with only their immediate family present on the beautiful island of Lanai, Hawaii. Their wedding feast, mahi mahi, caught fresh that day by Alvin and Gary at Ted's request and prepared by the chef 6 different ways. During his formative years, whenever anyone asked Ted what he wanted to be when he grew up, his answer was always the same: a dad. Betty Ann recalled saying to Ted, "Okay, but what are you going to do for a job?" Ted's nonchalant reply was, "I don't know. I'll get a job. I just really want to be a dad." In 2006, that dream would come true when Jacob Paul was born, and again in 2009 when Ryan Kyle came along to complete Ted and Tara's family. Ted was a true family man. They were his whole world. Tara became a teacher in the Wyckoff school system in 2011, and soon after, Ted and Tara moved to Wyckoff, the town that Tara was born and raised in, to build their life and raise their family. This, of course, meant that Ted had to endure the daily and gnarly commute in and out of New York City, but he never once complained. Wyckoff, what was best for Jake, Ryan, and Tara, and that was all that mattered. There was nothing he wouldn't do for them. Jacob and Ryan became involved in town sports, and Ted was proud to be one of their biggest cheerleaders and coach their lacrosse teams. It didn't matter what they decided to participate in. Ted just wanted to be there. Family was everything to him, and he celebrated every moment. No event was too small, no accomplishment too minute. He believed in recognizing the little things and acknowledging them as big things. Ted loved good Italian wine, and through his job, he had connections with an Italian wine merchant. To signify the years that each of Ted and Tara's boys were born, Ted bought a case of wine for each. A case for 2006 and another for 2009. He told Tara they would open a bottle to commemorate the special events in the boys' lives. Tara took this to mean things like 8th grade graduation, high school, college. Instead, she quickly learned that Ted would find any reason to celebrate. He was spontaneous. And things such as Ryan riding his bike was a good enough cause as any to open a bottle of '09. Or Jacob doing well at a game meant that '06 should get tasted. That was Ted. Every occasion was special. Every action deserved to be celebrated. Not just those of his boys, Jacob and Ryan, but for all of his nieces and nephews as well. He worked diligently to make each of them feel special in his own way. He knew just how to meet each of them on their own level and celebrate them just because. He truly was Superman to all of them. Everything was possible with Ted, and he believed in making everyday life into special memories with his go-big personality. He treated each one of the boys' teammates the same way. He knew them each by name and always pointed out a positive way to encourage them. Karen also recalled many such memories over the years and how Ted was always there for her. The caring big brother always. Ted's gift with his thoughtful personality. The one who always went above and beyond to make everyone feel safe and special. There was nothing he wouldn't do to make others happy. Ted always shared freely his joy of life. Ted's brother Gary shared with me the other day the first time his wife, then girlfriend, Sarah, met Ted. Sarah was in from Hong Kong, and although she was unable to join us today, she shared with Gary how warm and welcomed Ted made her automatically feel when they first met. Ted enjoyed many hobbies. When he showed interest in something new, he really took it to heart, learning everything he possibly could about it. When he got into chess, he studied the history of chess, the mathematical equations associated with it, took interest in the different sets and the advantages and disadvantages to each one. Each hobby he took interest in, he made sure that he knew it from every single angle. He loved golf, triathlons, training for the Ironman race, even though it added an extra 9 months to Tara's life. Traveling around the world and discovering new places with his family, including Ireland to celebrate Jacob's 13th birthday and the Bahamas to celebrate Ryan's. He adored seeing these new corners of the world through the same lenses as Jacob and Ryan. Spending traditional vacations on Nantucket, collecting shells, an assortment of ducks that came from, well, maybe we shouldn't mention where those came from. His lucky number 8, a self-deprecating, one-pot chef who was a whiz at using a cast iron skillet and always used the phrase, "a recipe from the old country," even though Ted never followed one. They were always his own creations with what he had on hand, and they were always amazing. As you look around the room today, I hope you are able to feel a strong sense of who Ted was and the energetic personality that he had. When this service first started, you saw me light the candle that you see in the front of the room. It's a symbolic candle, meant to acknowledge Ted and his never-ending smile, to remind each of us of the warm, bright light he is to each of you, and how his personality and smile light up any room. I hope that each of you will remember that smile and think of Ted every time you see a lit candle, because a light that burns as bright as Ted's can never be snuffed out.
Bear with me here. Whew. okay. I'm going to cry. Hopefully you can still understand me. I can still remember the first time that I met Ted in 2001. He had just started dating my sister. I was living with her at the time. Gosh, that sounds terrible. All right. Whew. I used to do a lot of public speaking. Not very good at this one. I'm emotional. Okay. As I walked in the door, I was captivated by Ted's smile. As you know, he smiled with his whole body. He had this crazy energy and a genuine interest and eagerness to get to know me. But even more, I remember that first day. I could see the way he looked at Tara and how joyful and relaxed he made her. Which, if you know my sister and me, is not an easy feat. In the early years, Ted not only became my roommate, but a true big brother and protector and cheerleader. He helped rid my life of bad boyfriends, he filled my mind with possibilities and adventures, and he cheered me on in all my crazy life decisions. He genuinely wanted the best for everyone, and he continued constantly to build up those he loved. Fast forwarding a bit, after Ted and Tara got married, I remember Ted talking nonstop about having kids. Being a dad was something he always knew he wanted, and a role he was born to do. When Jake was born, I can genuinely say I have never in my life seen a prouder dad. In typical Ted fashion, he wanted to host everyone and introduce everyone to his baby boy as if nobody had ever had a child before. I think that their Haddonfield house hosted a continual tour of family and friends for weeks and weeks on end. He threw himself into new parenthood, and of course he overachieved on every little milestone. A few years later, when Ryan was born, the excitement and celebration was just as big and bright the second time around. You wouldn't think it was possible, but it really was incredible. As you all know, when people will talk about Ted's boys are the proudest and most important thing in his life, he talked about them nonstop. He was a constant fixture at everything they did, at all of their activities. Soon after Ryan was born, Ted became an uncle. First time when my daughter Jane was born, which was another role he poured his heart into. Ted was also Jane's godfather and treated her as his surrogate daughter. A guy who had always been surrounded by boys. He really took to this role. Later, when Annie was born, and then William, Ted's love continued to expand and capture their hearts and imagination. He truly was a super uncle and a source of so much joy in their lives. They called Ted Uncle Monkeyfoot. I don't know where that came from, but it's always what they've been calling him. And he would refer to himself in the same way. To them and to all of us, Ted was a superhero. There was nothing he couldn't do. Ted made the world seem limitless. He was an Ironman athlete. He was also, to them, an Iron Chef. He would make favorite meals and every time memories along the way. Ted could right any wrong and say what needed to be said when it needed to be said. And somehow no one got mad at him. He saw everyone where they were and would do anything to help. Ted lifted us all up. He made us believe anything was possible. And he built this amazing community of love that is all around here today. Ted's motto throughout his life, which I'm sure so many of you have heard, was just show up. Thank you for showing up. And we'll all take each day to celebrate Ted's spirit and lift up Tara, Jacob, and Ryan in his honor to share that love. I love you, Ted.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see faces I haven't seen in so long. And I want to apologize in advance for what I'm about to say. if there's one thing Kramer knew about me is I'm as smooth as sandpaper. Okay? So this is going to go par for the course. All right? Larry, are we okay with that? Okay. All right. For those that don't know me, my name's Ed Collins. I'm also known as Beck. I'm also known as the FLID. All right? Beck stands for Bad Eddie Collins. FLID, maybe, Pitts, you want to explain what FLID means? Never mind. It means a nice guy from Long Island. Let's just leave it at that. Right? So Kramer was also a FLID, right? And he had a few other nicknames too. Crames, Shom Dome, my Share, Lieb, Nigel. We had a lot of nicknames. All right. And we were great friends in college, and we lived in Long Beach, and we became brothers in Long Beach. We lived together for 5 years. So I met Larry and the whole family. But it was the place in Long Beach, man. It was a dump, but we loved it. Right? We had we're doing a few things. I don't know if you've noticed the Wu-Tang thing up here. There's a lot of bumping of Wu-Tang going on in the house. Right? It seemed like college kind of just kept going for years. It was great. We loved it. Right? Krames always did everything 110%. Right? One day I came home. You know, we're into golf, and we're always going to Lido Beach to play golf. I come home one day from work, and Kramer decided to redecorate the dump, the Long Beach apartment, with what? A golf net. He's got a golf net in the whole corner of the living room. So now we have a driving range in the living room. I'm looking at this. I go, we got a golf net. He goes, yeah. I go, that is freaking genius. I go, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So we would hit balls, and it was this on and on. At one point, he had a speed bag in the living room, bolted from the ceiling. I go, all right, I guess we're a boxing gym now. Fine, whatever. But we spent a lot of time in that place doing something called couching it up. I don't know if you're familiar with this activity, but it's kind of like laying around. People think it's doing nothing, but it's really, no. He's on his couch, I'm on my couch, we're couching it up, right? Solving the world's problems, yelling at the Jets on TV as they lose again and again, you know. But there was two couches. There's my couch, which Kramer never sat on, right? His couch, which I never sat on. And there was a third couch. And one of our friends from college, Matthew Pitts right here. Introduce yourself, Matt. Yeah. So we're playing basketball in Long Beach. Come back. Pitts flops on the couch after playing basketball day, sweating. Ruined the whole couch. And then that couch became Pitts' couch. So it's Ted's couch, my couch, and Pitts' couch. I'm sorry, it's gross. I understand. But he went big with everything. You know, everything he did, like the chess and the golf. You know, if we went and played golf, we had a bad day putting. Next thing you know, he's coming home with 3 new putters. He's like, got to figure this out, right? He's always figuring that stuff out. So when we weren't couching it up, we were at Lido quite a bit, playing a lot of golf. Summertime, we'd get up 2 o'clock in the morning, go to the course, wait in line, right? Wait for the deli to open, get in line at the course, go get the egg sandwiches, bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches first thing, go over, tee off at 6:30 in the morning, right? Go back, couch it up, right? Make fun of each other. A couple of things we used to say all the time was Kramer would hit a good shot, right? Or I would hit a good shot, which is not as frequent, but Kramer would hit a good, nice shot. And because we always broke each other's shoes, right? He would hit a nice shot. I go, hey, nice shot. He'd go, thanks. And I'd go, for you. Right? He fell for that all the time. Right? And another thing we used to do all the time, when we'd show up, there would be, let's say we get paired up with 2 other people we didn't know. And he would introduce himself. I'd introduce myself. So it would be, Hi, I'm Ted. Hi, I'm Ed. And people would always go, oh, Ted and Ed, huh? That'll be easy to remember, right? So we made up a new rule that whoever gets introduced second has to make up a whole new name. Like, 'cause I'm tired of hearing the same thing from people, you know? So usually I was Frank. I don't know. Wintertime, we'd play all year round. And wintertime, Emma would drive, Kirk Emmons back here, would drive down from Saratoga, right? Kick our butts, right? He'd beat us all the time. Eat something, drive all the way back. In the middle of winter. Come right there. It was embarrassing. I mean, and the belt, he's got the belt still. Right? Championship belt. I mean, there's so many great moments like that on the golf course, and you really get to know somebody. When, you know, when we go finish playing golf, we'd go back to the house, couch it up again. We'd almost developed a whole new language at one point, right? We had all these different sayings that kind of carried over from college too. Words like "cresus." The boys, I'm sure, have heard that many times. Get loose, get biz, so dirt, right? Chise and Flizzy, yeah, huh? Nath, safe, nah, and quicker than fast. Right? Those are some of the words that, I mean, not only that, you also had the, sometimes we wouldn't even have to talk. We would just, there was a click language that we had that came from a game called Zoom Schwartz, where you would side barn people. And should I demonstrate, Scal? Should I give him a little? That's the side barn. How's that, Mo? Is that good? You can't believe it. All right. So in the later years, we still, we're getting older. Kramer's had a way of breaking things down and simplifying difficult situations, right? Analyze the problem, come up with a solution, figure it out, go with it 100% and just deal with it, right? Just keep it simple, right? He was always just trying to, keep it simple, break things down. He was always like a little brother to me. But you could always rely on him to give you great advice. Just talk through it, get through things. He'd same thing with golf. He'd just make up your mind, hit the shot, go, deal with the consequences after. Do the best you can, right? And that's what he always did. It was always, to me, especially this week, it's always, I'm always thinking, what would Kramer do? How would Kramer handle this? And he made it look easy. Al and Betty Ann, you raised a great son and a great man. He was a gift to all of us. So thank you. Gary, you're a great brother. And I'm proud to call you my brother as well. Okay. Jake and Ryan, you've learned how to be a man from the best. Okay. He's so proud of you guys, and I know you're gonna continue making him proud. And Tara, you're a great mother, and you and Ted made unbelievable kids. And the guys and I are here for you guys, whatever you guys need, And that's it. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I did apologize in advance, right?